Ladies and gentlemen, as we step deeper into 25, I want to ask you a question that's poetic but hides a profound truth. Is the crescent moon in the palm of your hand? Sounds impossible. Sounds like a riddle good. Because the greatest truths are hidden in what seems unreachable. The crescent mooning, it represents your dreams, your potential, your higher self. Your hand is your effort, your action, your power. In 2025, if you are willing to reach, to discipline, to grow, then yes, the crescent moon can sit right in your palm. Self-mastery is the only freedom, because without control over your own thoughts, emotions, and actions, you are at the mercy of everything outside of you. The weather changes, and so does your mood. Someone criticizes you, and suddenly your confidence vanishes. A failure occurs, and your motivation crumbles. But when you learn to master yourself, you begin to live from a center that cannot be shaken. You begin to respond instead of react. You begin to lead your life instead of being led by circumstances. It is not about suppressing your emotions or becoming emotionless. It is about awareness, about becoming so present that you feel the rising of anger, fear, or sadness like a wave, yet not let that wave pull you under. Most people are prisoners of their habits, chained to patterns they didn't choose. They wake up, scroll their phone, get lost in distractions, act from impulses, and call it a life. But self-mastery means pausing, observing, and choosing a higher response even when the lower one screams for attention. This discipline doesn't come overnight. It's built one decision at a time. Waking up earlier when the mind says, just 5 more minutes. Training your body when it says, I'm tired. Speaking truth when your ego says, hide. Staying calm when everything inside is boiling. With every small victory yourself, you become freer. Not because the world changes, but because your relationship to the world changes. A person who has not mastered themselves becomes a slave to their desires, constantly seeking stimulation, approval, and escape. They chase pleasure, avoid pain, and wonder why they feel empty. But when you have self-mastery, you begin to move with intention. You stop being pulled by distractions and start building direction. You stop needing external motivation and become fueled from within. You don't wait for the right time because you create it. You stop blaming circumstances and take full ownership. Freedom is often misunderstood. It's not doing whatever you want, whenever you want. That's chaos, not freedom. Real freedom is having the strength to do what is necessary, even when it's hard, boring, or uncomfortable. It's being able to delay gratification, resist temptation, and act from purpose. Self-mastery gives you this freedom. It gives you the power to shape your mind like a blade. Sharp, clear, and unshakable. It gives you the capacity to build the life you truly want, not the one handed to you by chance or habit. Without self-mastery, success is unsustainable. You may win for a while, but the chaos within you will eventually sabotage it. Your mind will make you doubt. Your emotions will trap you. Your body will resist you. That is why those who rise and stay risen are not just skilled or lucky. They are disciplined. Their greatest weapon is not talent. It is the ability to master their inner world regardless of the storms outside. Your outer world reflects the inner discipline, because the quality of your surroundings, the structure of your life, and the direction of your journey are all silent expressions of how well you govern yourself from within. What you allow, tolerate, pursue, and create in the external realm is a direct echo of your internal order or disorder. If the mind is cluttered, so will be the environment. If the heart is scattered, so will be the focus. If there is no discipline inside, there can be no clarity, consistency, or control outside. Most people look at their lives and blame circumstances, bad luck, other people, the economy, their upbringing. But they rarely ask how much of their current condition is shaped by their own repeated choices. Inner discipline is not just about waking up early or sticking to a routine. It is the quiet commitment to hold yourself accountable to a higher standard, especially when no one is watching. It is the force that determines whether your time is used or wasted, whether your words build or destroy, whether your actions align with your values or drift with temptation. When your inner discipline is weak, the outer world becomes chaotic. Goals are set but never reached. Promises are made but never kept. Effort is inconsistent, and so are results. A person without inner discipline lives by emotions and whims, reacting to everything around them instead of acting with clarity. They allow distractions to take over their day, unhealthy habits to control their body, and fleeting thoughts to dominate their mind. The result is a life filled with unfinished tasks, broken routines, unstable relationships, and a constant feeling of being out of control. On the other hand, inner discipline brings structure, and that structure reflects in everything you touch. A disciplined mind becomes a calm and focused presence. A disciplined schedule becomes a productive life. A disciplined heart becomes a source of resilience, not easily swayed by pleasure or pain. This doesn't mean life becomes rigid or robotic. In fact, it becomes more creative, more free, because discipline creates the foundation for mastery. When your mind knows its direction, your energy becomes concentrated like a laser, and your environment begins to bend to that focus. Look at the most successful, fulfilled, or peaceful individuals, not the loudest, not the most followed, but the most grounded. Their homes are orderly not because they're obsessed with perfection, but because they respect the energy around them. Their relationships are intentional because they've learned to manage their emotions and communicate with clarity. Their progress is consistent because they've cultivated discipline behind the scenes. What you see on the outside is simply the visible tip of a deeply rooted inner structure. The inner world shapes how you use time, how you speak to others, how you treat your body, how you handle setbacks. All of these become the brushstrokes painting the canvas of your outer life. If your mind is sharp and your habits intentional, the world around you begins to reflect that precision. People begin to notice the order in how you move, the calm in your responses, the strength in your presence. Even when life throws chaos at you, your internal discipline allows you to respond with control instead of collapse. There is a direct relationship between how you live inside and what you experience outside. A person who trains themselves to be present, aware, and purposeful will naturally begin to design a life that mirrors those qualities. The more you practice inner discipline, the more life stops feeling random and starts feeling intentional. You begin to attract clarity because you've become clear. You create peace because you've made peace within. You see progress not because the world has changed, but because you have. Stillness is strength in a noisy world because in an age where everything demands your attention. Notifications, opinions, deadlines, distractions, the rarest and most powerful act is to remain calm, composed, and centered. The world is loud not just in volume but in energy. It pulls you in multiple directions, promising urgency and importance in every ping, message, or headline. People are running, scrolling, reacting, chasing, but few are pausing, few are still, and in that stillness lies a power that noise can never replicate. When your mind is always stimulated, it becomes reactive. You respond not from depth but from impulse. Thoughts become shallow, scattered, short-lived. You consume more but understand less. You feel more but reflect less. Over time, the noise becomes internal. Even in silence, the mind keeps spinning, thinking of what to do, what to say, what to worry about. But when you train yourself to be still, to sit, breathe, and observe without acting, you reclaim control over that spinning. Stillness is not weakness, it is not passivity. It is not doing nothing. It is doing something very few have the strength to do. Holding your ground while everything else pulls at you. It is being fully present without needing to speak, react, or prove. It is the ability to observe your thoughts without being ruled by them, to witness your emotions without drowning in them. This kind of stillness requires discipline, awareness, and self-control. It is built slowly through practice, patience, and conscious choice. In a noisy world, people are constantly broadcasting their lives, trying to be seen, heard, validated. But true confidence is quiet. It does not need to announce itself. Stillness is a sign that you are not at the mercy of external noise. You can listen deeply. You can wait with purpose. You can act without rushing. This strength allows you to make decisions not from anxiety, but from clarity. It allows you to respond with thoughtfulness, not impulse. It gives you the ability to resist the pressure to always be doing something and instead choose to be intentional. Those who possess stillness create a different kind of presence. You feel it when they walk into a room. Not because they're loud, but because they're grounded. They carry a calm that calms others. In conversation, they don't need to interrupt or dominate. They listen, absorb, and speak only when necessary. In conflict, they don't panic or overreact. They observe, assess, and act with precision. That quiet strength influences more than any shout ever could. Stillness becomes your shield in chaos. When life throws uncertainty, the undisciplined mind spirals, but the still mind stays anchored. When people provoke you, stillness keeps your power within instead of wasting it in emotional reaction. When doubt arises, stillness lets you sit with it instead of escaping. And when inspiration comes, stillness gives you the space to recognize it. Without stillness, you move constantly but go nowhere. With stillness, even a single step becomes powerful. This strength cannot be faked. It must be earned through silence, solitude, and self-observation. It grows when you choose to disconnect from the noise, not to run away, but to return to your center. In stillness, you meet yourself without distraction. You face your fears without running. You see your patterns clearly. And from that clarity comes real power. Because now you're no longer driven by the chaos of the world. You are guided by the order within. Energy follows intention. Where you focus, you flow. Because your life is constantly being shaped by the direction of your attention. What you think about repeatedly, what you feel deeply, what you imagine vividly. These are the things that begin to take root and grow, whether consciously or unconsciously. Most people move through life reacting to what happens around them without realizing that their focus is being hijacked every minute. They wonder why they feel drained, distracted, and disconnected, but they never stop to ask where their energy is going. The truth is, your energy is not disappearing. It is simply being scattered. Intention is like a compass. It sets the direction for everything you do, say, and think. Without it, your energy flows into everything and returns with nothing. You scroll endlessly, chase validation, multitask without meaning, and live with a sense of busyness that produces no real fulfillment. But when your intention is clear, your focus sharpens. Distractions lose their power. The unnecessary falls away. You no longer ask, what should I do next? But instead, what aligns with my intention? This shift transforms chaos into clarity. Focusing with intention turns ordinary actions into powerful ones. A simple workout becomes a discipline of strength. A single conversation becomes a moment of connection. A quiet morning becomes a sacred space for renewal. The same action done with a drifting mind has little impact. But with full presence and clarity of intention, every movement, every thought, every breath becomes aligned with purpose. This is how great things are built, not from scattered effort, but from focused energy day after day, moment after moment. The human mind is powerful, but it is also fragile. It will follow whatever captures it. Without mastery of intention, it follows fear, doubt, gossip, and noise. It gets pulled into the future with anxiety and into the past with regret. But when you bring your focus back to the present and anchor it in purpose, you take control of your direction. You begin to flow, not in the sense of ease without effort, but in the sense that your energy becomes aligned and unobstructed. You begin to work with yourself rather than against yourself. People often chase motivation, thinking it is the key to action. But motivation fades. Intention does not. Intention is the seed. Focus is the sun. Energy is the water. Together they allow anything to grow. And the clearer your intention, the more naturally your energy flows in the right direction. You stop wasting time on things that don't serve you. You stop fighting battles that don't matter. You stop pouring yourself into situations that only drain you. You begin to conserve your energy not out of fear, but out of wisdom, knowing that what you focus on becomes your reality. This principle applies not just to goals, but to mindset, relationships, health, an identity. If your intention is to grow, you will see growth everywhere, even in failure. If your intention is to serve, you will find purpose in every interaction. If your intention is to heal, every wound becomes a teacher. But if your intention is unclear, your energy becomes diluted. You do many things but finish few. You start journeys but never arrive. You live many lives but feel fulfilled in none. Attention is a currency more valuable than time, because it is what gives time its meaning. Where you place it determines the quality of your experience. If your attention is constantly divided, your energy will always feel depleted. But if you can gather it, hold it, and direct it with intention, you will notice a shift not just in results, but in the depth of your presence. You become less reactive, more deliberate. You stop chasing everything and start moving toward one thing. Discomfort is the doorway to true growth, because everything you are seeking, strength, clarity, wisdom, mastery, exists on the other side of what feels difficult, uncertain, or unfamiliar. Growth is not found in the routines that keep you safe. It lives in the moments that stretch you beyond who you currently are. When you face resistance, when you feel the pull to retreat, when your mind screams for comfort, that is exactly where transformation begins. Most people avoid discomfort as if it were danger, but discomfort is not a threat. It is a teacher. The human tendency is to gravitate toward ease, to repeat what is known, to stay within the boundaries of habits and thoughts that require the least energy. But this safety is an illusion. The more you avoid discomfort, the smaller your world becomes. Your confidence shrinks. Your capacity stays limited. You build walls around yourself not to protect freedom, but to avoid growth. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you reinforce the idea that you are not capable of more. And slowly, you begin to live in a version of yourself that is smaller than who you truly are. Real growth begins when you allow yourself to lean into the discomfort rather than run from it. When you wake up earlier than your body wants, when you push through one more repetition, when your muscles burn, when you speak truth instead of staying silent, when you face the fear of failure rather than hide behind perfectionism. These are the moments that change you. Not because they're glamorous or dramatic, but because they demand presence, effort, and courage. And every time you meet that discomfort with persistence, you carve a new path inside yourself. The reason discomfort is so powerful is because it reveals what you have yet to master. It brings to the surface your fears, your doubts, your weaknesses, and in doing so, it gives you a chance to face them. Without discomfort, those things remain hidden, quietly limiting your potential. But when you enter discomfort consciously, it becomes a forge. It burns away the excess, the illusion, the ego. It refines your character, deepens your awareness, and sharpens your will. Discomfort is also the great equalizer. It doesn't matter where you come from, how much talent you have, or what resources you start with. If you are willing to endure discomfort and keep moving forward, you will grow. You will earn your strength. You will develop resilience not through theory, but through lived experience, and that kind of growth cannot be taken away. It is yours because you suffered for it, worked for it, and bled for it in the quiet spaces where no one was watching. Comfort is seductive. It promises ease, rest, and safety. But over time, it becomes a trap. You stop striving, you stop learning, you stop risking. And without realizing it, your spirit begins to decay. Not dramatically, but gradually, through the erosion of challenge. Growth, on the other hand, requires tension. Just as a muscle must tear to rebuild stronger, just as steel must be forged in fire to become unbreakable, your character must be tested through discomfort to reveal its full strength. In discomfort, you learn patience because progress is slow. You learn humility because failure is common. You learn focus because distractions become unbearable. You learn gratitude because every small victory matters. This is the sacred space where transformation happens. Not in the highlight moments, but in the quiet struggles you endure day after day. And the more you embrace discomfort, the more familiar it becomes. It doesn't get easier, but you get stronger. You stop fearing it. You start seeking it, knowing that it holds the keys to everything you want to become. Life doesn't happen to you. It happens through you because you are not merely a passive observer of events, circumstances, and outcomes. You are an active channel through which life expresses itself. Every thought you think, every emotion you hold, every decision you make becomes part of the energy that shapes your reality. Most people move through life reacting to what is outside of them, assuming that they are victims of chance, of fate, of other people's actions. They believe life is something that happens to them, as if they are standing still while the world moves around them. But the truth is, life is moving through you in every moment, and how it flows depends on your awareness, your choices, and your inner state. When you see life as something that happens to you, you fall into blame, complaint, and helplessness. You give your power away to the economy, to politics, to your past, to other people's approval. You wait for conditions to improve before you allow yourself to feel good. You expect the outside world to change before you commit to growing. But when you realize that life is happening through you, everything shifts. You start to see your inner world as the engine and the outer world as the reflection. You begin to understand that you are not separate from what is happening. You are a part of its unfolding. This shift from victim to creator is not just philosophical, it is practical. When you carry anger, it spills into your words and actions. When you carry peace, it softens your responses. When you feel gratitude, life reflects back to you more things to be grateful for. The way life flows through you is determined by what you are allowing yourself to hold inside. If you carry fear, you move cautiously, attracting situations that confirm your hesitation. If you carry confidence, you act boldly, attracting opportunities that match your courage. You are the vessel, and life takes the shape of that vessel. Everything you experience, your relationships, your career, your health, is affected by the way you show up. Life doesn't randomly assign outcomes to you, it reflects the energy, beliefs, and mindset you carry. This is not to say that every difficulty is your fault or that you control everything. Rather, it means that within every situation, you have the power to influence how it evolves through the way you engage with it. Life responds to the energy you bring to it. If you bring resistance, it brings pressure. If you bring openness, it brings possibilities. To live as though life happens through you is to take radical responsibility. Not in a way that blames yourself for everything, but in a way that empowers you to shape your experience from the inside out. It means noticing your patterns, understanding your emotional triggers, and becoming aware of how your internal reactions affect your external results. It means realizing that your thoughts are not just passing clouds, they are signals. Your words are not just sounds, they are frequencies. Your actions are not just behaviors, they are ripples in the fabric of reality. This understanding invites you to become more conscious in every area of life. You begin to pause before reacting. You reflect before making decisions. You listen before speaking. You meditate before taking action. You stop chasing control over the external and start cultivating mastery over the internal. You realize that peace is not found in perfect circumstances. It is found in your ability to stay grounded while the world shifts. That joy is not dependent on achievements. It is accessed by choosing presence. That fulfillment is not the result of reaching a destination. It is the alignment between your actions and your inner truth. Life is always speaking to you, moving through you, shaping itself according to the space you give it. It flows into the forms you allow it to take. It grows in the direction of your focus. It contracts in the presence of fear and expands in the presence of love. Your role is not to control life, but to become the clearest channel for its intelligence to move through, to align your thoughts with clarity, your emotions with awareness, and your actions with integrity. In doing so, you don't wait for life to happen. You participate in its unfolding with purpose and presence. Conclusion of the speech is the crescent moon in the palm of your hand. 10 things will happen to you in 2025. So now, as you stand at the edge of this year, youth loving support, you have a choice to drift through it like so many before, or to step forward with a deeper awareness of who you are becoming. The crescent moon, the symbol of your untapped potential, your quiet power, your higher calling, is not meant to stay distant in the sky. It is meant to be reached, held, and lived through daily action, conscious discipline, and inner transformation. Each principle you've heard today is not a slogan to remember, but a path to walk. Self-mastery, inner discipline, stillness, focused energy, discomfort, and personal responsibility. These are not abstract ideas. They are tools, with loving support, weapons. They are mirrors, if you choose to apply them, if you allow them to shape your habits, your thinking, your way of living. Then 2025 will not just be another year. It will be the year you stopped waiting and started becoming. The year you stopped reacting and started creating. The year you stopped reaching for the moon and realized it was already in the palm of your hand.